Yes, you're welcome back. That's not just first sporting moment in history. Some were not able to be captured, but if there's any moments we've always had in the world of sport, those are some of them too, from the 60s to the 70s. And Nigeria is the hub of sport in Africa. Though the Egyptians can argue that, the Senegalese can argue that, but no doubt, nobody can put Nigeria aside. Before now, we had we talk on cricket, where we had the chairman of Cricket Association, and they're planning so much. From cricket, we go straight to fencing. We mean is the president of Nigerian Fencing Federation, Adeyinka Samuel. It's good to have you in the show, sir.
Thank you for having me.
It's a double celebration for you. Last week, there was some weeks ago, there were fencing tournament going on, and now we're celebrating independence. And so unfortunate that in the list of so many things people want to compile together for Independence Day about sporting moments, there will not be a perfect record of what fencing has done. That's why I brought you to the show today, because fencing is meant to be on the list of our achievements. You are a fencer, you've done that for the country, you've won laurels for the country, both globally, and you are here today. Tell us a bit of those moments that we've probably have omitted in our history in fencing, in the world of sports.
Yes, I mean, as you rightly said, in fencing is not as popular as many of the other sports, football, basketball, but we're getting there. There's a lot more publicity, and thanks to the likes of yourself, who are regularly having us on your show. But over the years, yes, I was a fencer. I represented Nigeria. I'm actually thinking of going back into fencing, but at the veterans level, which is 40 and above. And use that as a way to be active, as well as I believe that I can also win more medals. I've been fortunate to represent Nigeria, been to several international tournaments, 2 Commonwealth, World Championships. I've won over 30 international medals and representing Nigeria. So yes, I mean, those stories are not there. There are others like Jackie Ezemeje, who a female saber. She started fencing before me, and she's one of the people that got me involved in the sport of fencing. She actually even qualified for Nigeria for the Olympics. Unfortunately, she didn't go. That was 2002. And she's also won a lot of medals, international medals for Nigeria. And outside of us two, there's so many other new athletes that have come and have represented Nigeria and have won medals for Nigeria, both African Championships level, international level, and we keep striving.
Yeah, what's the Federation doing to have a documentation and archive of this wonderful moment you've just mentioned? It's 99% of Nigerians who fail the test, sport-loving Nigerians, ask or name one fencer. I'm sure they'll feel that. So what's your federation doing to have an archive, sporting moments? Perhaps you can do that and let the media houses like us, who has promoted the sport fencing, to have so much about it. So what do you think you're having in place so that you'll not be missing in history?
I mean, one of the things that we are doing, and we look at it from a few angles, we try and segment it in terms of that. One is that, of course, each athlete, in terms of their performance, in terms of their records, are kept. That's very important for us. It's important for the athletes as well, because one of the stages we're going through with the athletes is teaching them how to brand themselves and how to go out and get more support. So that's one aspect. That's one aspect of it.
Okay.
Now, the other aspect is we also need the records, because we use that to be able to rank them. We have our national rankings, and for each tournament they go to, or competition they attend, we get their results and we put it in there, and we have a national ranking. Based on that, we do our selections for big major tournaments like the World Championships or Commonwealths. It's off of that list that we do the selection. So that's one aspect. Now, we also have the more public section of it, where people can see and know the athletes. And our athletes have profiles. So each of the athletes have profiles, the records, what they have done. Now, these are kept on our website, but as you know, with social media, with how things go, things continue to move to the right. And of course, we have to continue to adjust and move as things are going. So at the moment, we have a website, www.nigerianfencing.com.
Interesting.
So our athletes are there, their profiles are there, and all the things that they've done are there. That's where, of course, we're updating it as we can, but also on our other social media platforms, Instagram at Nigerian Fencing. That's our Instagram page.
Okay.
We have those details. Right now, we're also compiling all those lists, and then, of course, updating it as regularly as possible.
Interesting moment, and it's good that there's a website at least for vital information. Now, historically, fencing, was it before independence or was it after fencing in Nigeria? We know that the sport fencing is old globally; it has always been there. But for Nigeria, what moments are the highlights of fencing moments in the country? Tell us when it came into the country, and some of these highlights, like the time you represented us, and Jackie you mentioned also represented us. So those are moments that should be in our archive. So tell us a bit of what it means. Were you not feeling like a loner when they say fencing in the global stage and you just have one Nigeria and you don't have so much people to share you? I can imagine that scenario, and you are just there as if, I can imagine that scenario. Some sport are still suffering from that, even right now, like canoeing, when one person represented in the Olympics and all that. Tell us a bit of the historical moment in fencing.
Well, as you rightly said, fencing is a very old sport. It's actually one of the oldest sports when you talk about it globally. And it was started in the 14th century and it's evolved 16th century. I believe the Italians took it and made the different weapons out of it. And then you also had in the 17th century, that's when the French came in and made it into what it is now, which is the competitive and modern type fencing. But in regards to Nigeria, fencing in Nigeria is fairly new, which is where we are right now. I would say that we are about 20 years in Nigeria, and there were other presidents before I became president who didn't know much about the sport, but just had a call in and decided that okay, this is an opportunity to grow fencing. And of course, without those previous presidents, I wouldn't have been able to represent Nigeria because I had to represent under an umbrella. And that's also the same umbrella that Jackie used.
Okay.
Prior to that, there was some development in Nigeria. Majority of the competitions were done because I was in the diaspora then. Okay. I was in the UK. Jackie was also in London at the time. And that's where we also had access to good coaching. I was fortunate to have been coached by the best coach in Scotland. I lived in Scotland at the time, and he was the best in Scotland. And that was how I was able to achieve the things I achieved. But of course, having done that, that's where we've now said, let's come and do it in Nigeria and develop it. So we're new when you come to sports, when it comes to 20 years plus, and then of course coming in and just gradually building it organically. Okay,
time is not our best companion now, but we're expecting, perhaps it's an advice, we're expecting moments where the federation will just have an historical perspective with videos and archive telling media houses about fencing before the next Independence Day, or just sharing an archive of you. I'm sure you've got videos of you representing the countries and all that, pictures that also will inculcate this wonderful moment of fencing into our next celebration of independence. Are we going to expect something soon?
I think that's good. I think that's a very good idea. I must say I haven't even thought of that, but I think that's a fantastic idea, and we can put things together.
That should not be lost in history.
Yeah, we have a lot of material from when I used to fence, from when I used to train. Some of them are online. Okay. And Jackie, when she used to train, and then just the years that we've progressed, and it can show a track record of what we have done. And I think that would be good. It gives us a story. It tells us where we've come from and where we are today.
Okay. Thank you very much, the president of Fencing Federation, Adeyinka. Thanks for giving us some historical part of fencing. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's the president of Nigerian Fencing Federation. Done so much for fencing, and we are hoping that we get much more in fencing.